Okay, so for this lesson, we're going to pick up on where we left off the last time. We're going to continue on to the directional light. The directional light, also called, I've heard it called an infinite light in other software packages. It basically is a light that has no start point, has no end point. It just emits light in parallel rays from one side of the image to the other. And basically, because as you can see, that since it has no start point, no end point, translating the directional light around the scene won't do anything. You can only see a change on it once you start to rotate it. And again, it has no radius. It has no um, it doesn't it doesn't care where it is. It just points everything in in all light rays in one direction all the time. And the most common use for it is using it to simulate sunlight. Um, the problem with doing it for that purpose is that I feel that because, well, I don't feel this is the truth, because a infinite light or directional light has all these light rays shooting in across your entire scene, the quality of the light isn't going to be enough. And again, like the point light, like the area light, it's wasting light rays. And it's going to create extra noisiness and extra problems in your scene, especially in the shadows as we get to those. So I say that anything that I can do with an infinite light, I can do with a spotlight just fine. If you just pull the spotlight far away from the scene and point it at it, you'll create the same parallel lines, and you won't. And if you get the cone of the spotlight to be just in the area that you're looking at, and you won't have all those light rays shooting all over the place. That being said, a directional light is very functional if you are still in the early stages and just kind of setting up your scene, and you just need to throw some lights in there to just to see some results. A directional light is perfectly fine for that. So the next light that we're going to be talking about is the ambient light. Now, on the surface, the ambient light looks like a point light. It's the same exact icon. The thing about the ambient light, though, is it doesn't. Well, the basic quality of it is that it ignores. It'll cast a shadow, but it will ignore some of the shadow qualities or some of the shaping of the scene and kind of break the law by going on the opposite side of the object from where the light is to illuminate that area. So again, this is the light's kind of, it's right there in the middle, but somehow it's still sneaking light onto these dark sides. Um, we can control this. Um, one, this is an attribute that's specific to the ambient light. Is if we turn this all the way up to 1, now it'll function like a spotlight where it won't. It'll adhere to the shaping laws and actually cast a full shadow on the back side from where it's located at. Now, one thing about the ambient light that you should know is that uh, it doesn't have any specular value. Again, if we go back to the beginning here, from where the first point light demonstration, you can see there's the color of the shape themselves, but then there's also the specular hit that you're getting on each one of these. If you look at what the ambient light just created, you're not getting that specular hit. You're just getting the diffuse value. Something to be made aware of. So basically, the general use of an ambient light is just to fill in some cracks, and maybe sometimes it can be used as a bounce light if you turn this down to a reasonable, to a lesser degree, and you have it kind of up underneath the objects and to simulate light bouncing from the ground up onto your characters. You can do that, but the thing about it is it's not. It doesn't simulate anything that happens in nature, there's no light in the world that functions like this. So use it very sparingly and in small amounts. That would be my recommendation for this one. It certainly has its place because lots of times you will get some really dark areas where in the natural world light rays would kind of bounce around off of things, but in the 3D world it allows it to go to darkness. So the ambient light does have its value there, but just use it very sparingly. That would be my recommendation for that. So let's see. So that's the ambient light. We've also the sixth and final light that we have at our disposal is the volume light. The volume light is similar to a point light, but the major difference to it is that you can see there's the point light in the middle, and then there's this ring on the outside. And controlling where the ring is will control how much fall off the light has. Basically, the light starts here at the point, and by the time it reaches this outer ring, the light value will be gone. So I mean, all lights in nature have a natural fall off, but I will show you in the lighting properties in the next section how you're not limited to only using this light to create this effect. You can you can create drop off and with a or fall off. I'm sorry, with a spotlight or with any other light. But as you can see, if you increase this radius, then the amount of the time or the distance that it takes for the light to fall off will change. It'll fall off at a slower pace. So that's pretty much it. So there you go. So it fell off a little bit more slowly. So that's pretty much it for the types of lights that we have at our disposal. And from these 6 lights, you can pretty much do anything with lighting. In the next lesson, I'll show you guys the lighting properties and start to talk about some of the different attributes you can use the lights to do.